Well, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to be doing our mutual aspect series video. And today is one of the most popular mutual aspects I think I've ever come across in terms of people's eagerness to wanting to know what the mutual aspect of Mars and Saturn does in a horoscope. And so that's what we're going to discuss today, is what happens when Mars and Saturn are directly opposite to each other. Meaning they're 7 houses apart. In astrology, they're 180 degrees apart. Okay. Now, if you do not know if you have this mutual aspect in your horoscope and what degrees it's at, because that's going to matter too, what sign it's placed in, what house this mutual aspect is occurring, for that check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, including my books Astrology, Conjunction, and Aspects of the Speed of Light, including all my consultations at this link. So, Mars and Saturn mutual aspect. Well, what is Mars? Mars represents Bhumi, meaning earth, land, conquering. That's why Mars represents land, earth itself, because it's about conquering land. Mars is your energy. Where do you exert your energy? How do you exert your energy? How much energy do you have? That's Mars. Mars is also your competitive behavior. Are you competitive? Are you not competitive? That is seen through Mars. Mars represents, athletes and soldiers and fighters and boxers and, anyone who is able to take a risk. Anybody who's not afraid of doing and looking at things that other people may not want to. This is why Mars also is a significator of surgeon. A surgeon, you cannot have a surgeon without a strong Mars. If they do not have a strong Mars, they're going to become a, heart surgeon, brain surgeon. They'll probably end up becoming like a regular physician. Because Mars is very important, and that art of using sharp tools to dig in, to save a life, or perhaps to even take a life, requires that Mars is energy. Mars is fire and anger. Then what is Saturn? Saturn represents the work you do. Depending upon how much energy you have, the work that you're doing is what Saturn represents. Saturn represents restriction. Like you're not able to do things that you see other people do. Saturn wants you to stick to what you're good at. Once you try to go outside that boundary, Saturn says, well, you're restricted, I'm sorry. I always give this example, like if Bill Gates wants to, dunk and take off from the free throw line, like Michael Jordan, Saturn is going to laugh. But if Michael Jordan wants to create the next Windows, Saturn is again going to laugh. He's like, you guys are restricted. You can't come into this universe. Your universe is about the flashy, the sporty stuff and going out there winning games. Your karma and your boundaries is towards spreading information and technology. That's why Saturn becomes, this dreaded planet. Oh my God, I'm not able to, do this. I hate Saturn. I'm going through Sarasati. I hate Saturn. What Saturn people don't realize, literally every day when I do my career consultations for people, I get somebody saying, oh my God, my Saturn is so bad. I'm trying to do this and I cannot do that. I'm like, well, of course you're not able to do what you want to do. You're going outside the boundary. You want to stay in the boundary where Saturn can give you the maximum potential. So I said, look, instead of doing this, instead of going towards IT, what if you went towards owning an auto body shop? What if you went towards attaining mechanical skills? That's where Saturn wants to give you where you want to be as far as your financial future is concerned. So this is why it's important to understand Saturn. Saturn's your discipline, like Mars. Mars and Saturn both represents discipline. Because you're here to just do the work, stick to the work, be straightforward. Saturn represents the mass population, servants. And Saturn represents many, many things. Saturn also represents mechanical knowledge. Mars represents engineering knowledge. So when these two are either conjunct or mutually aspected, you'll see a natural born engineer. Somebody who's, if they're not engineers, they're going to be handy in the home. They're going to want to fix things. They always have some sort of a hobby of building planes, like flying planes and, doing all sorts of technical things. But mutual aspect of Mars and Saturn is just as powerful as the conjunction of Mars and Saturn. But the only difference is Mars and Saturn conjunction can create a fire in the forest. Because remember, Saturn represents oil. This is why people give oil to Saturn as a remedy. Mars is fire. What do you do when you put oil and fire together in one house? Explosion happens. Now, why do some people don't experience this explosion? Well, they do not go through the right time period to experience the explosion. They might experience explosion at the age of 65, 68. I don't mean explosion really, I just mean that big dramatic energy of Mars and Saturn. Some people experience it very early, but this mutual aspect, when they're both looking at each other, imagine the person that you are not comfortable with is in the same room. You're going to feel very uncomfortable and you're going to be agitated. There's going to be arguments, power struggles. When you both are looking at each other and you both have powers, what both do, they suck each other's powers out. They started exchanging each other's power. What this creates is a natural machine. Natural machine, like somebody who will not stop until they finish something. They will not stop until they finally beat you at a certain game. They will go all night to do those things. Extremely competitive people, technical people, athletic people. These are the people who are not afraid of wars. These are the people who look forward to wars. And whichever axis this Mars and Saturn mutual aspect is happening, you will work rigorously towards those things. You will non-stop go towards perfecting that axis. Let's say if it's happening in your 4th and 10th axis. This axis is going to be very much all about your work, your home, and the people that follow you. The mass crowd of the home people that follow you, or people in home and mother. Everything, that's it. That's your main purpose of exerting your energy. And you become extremely competitive in your workspace. In 1st and 7th, it's all about creating relationship, that energy, that machine-like energy, that dominating force always goes towards controlling people. Having the ability to control the masses, having the ability to control your spouse, having the ability to control your business partner. Now, everybody says, well, I have this and this is bad, this is good. Again, people, just today I posted, someone said this is Mrityu Danda Yoga and whatnot. And I can show you 100 Mrityu Danda Yoga and these people are living healthy, enriched life. I mean, the best example is you just look at Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, these guys are fighters, man. They're competitive and they will chew you out and spit you out. And that's when they will still be laughing at you. This is why they are making $100 million, $400 million a year. Because they don't stop. They need to win. They have to win that war. And especially when oil and fire are looking at each other, there's a fire. Just imagine a fire line between that axis of Mars and Saturn. Whether it's a 1st and 7th house, 2nd and 8th house, 3rd and 9th house, 4th and 10th house. Any house, this is where they're going to be trying to dominate that. Work rigorously towards that. They don't even care about perfecting it. They just want to be able to conquer that axis. So if you are, if you're somebody, who have these planets, especially in pretty good signs, competitive signs, whether it's, Aries and Capricorn and Cancer and Scorpio, Aquarius. I mean, some of these signs, these planets become extremely dominating, extremely competitive. They will win anyway and anyhow. Doesn't matter if Saturn is debilitated or Mars is debilitated. These person will become even more competitive, they're the ones who are, instead of working, they will be pushing people out to make sure they're the one who are working. So even though when they're debilitated, the energy kind of becomes off balance, but in a way it's still helping them. They do not care. They'll be rude to you. They'll be mean to you. They will say things to you, to your face, and they will still be working. So that's what the debilitated and exalted energy of these two planets can do. I mean, if you also look at like Steve Jobs, I mean, the guy had exalted Mars and Mool Trikon, exalted Saturn and Mool Trikon Mars, both mutually looking at each other. I mean, he was a rigorous fighter, and if you got in front of his way, he will chew you out, cut you out, and spit you out, and then walk on his way. This is why many people still hate Steve Jobs in Silicon Valley. They can't stand him or stand his name because the way he was, competitive-wise. I think I would probably say when the conjunction of Saturn and Mars happen can actually hurt the willpower and willpower and the energy in a person more than where they're mutually looking at each other. Because when these two are together, kind of creates a little bit of a war zone. Like a person internally fights. Should I go? Should I not go? Should I go? Should I not go? Because they have so much turmoil within with Mars and Saturn conjunction that they're not able to move ahead. You know, especially if it happens in some soft sign. But mutual aspect, it's like one is trying to lift the other one's trying to lift the other. Because there's no longer a war zone. There's simply the exchange of energies. Of work. Energy. So this is how you want to look at these things. They are extremely the hardest working people you will see. An athlete will practice probably shooting 2,000 shots a day versus somebody else who might be shooting 100 shots a day. Because these guys have so much energy within them that they just will work until they're perfected, until they can win the war. Okay? So guys, this was my analysis of Mars and Saturn mutual aspect. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below. And again, if you want to know where your Mars is placed, where your Saturn is placed, for that, check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, my books, consultations, everything at this link here. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, I think, with Sun in the 8th house for Taurus ascendant. Yeah. All right. See you later. Bye-bye.